What if every physical event in your life, every encounter, every breakthrough, everything that seemed to arrive from nowhere, was fully formed somewhere else first? Not as a vague wish, not as a dream, but as a complete living blueprint, already whole, already charged, waiting for enough energy to push it through into the world you can touch. This is not metaphor. This is the precise mechanics of reality as described by Seth, the non-physical intelligence channeled through Jane Roberts in the 1960s and 70s, whose ideas remain some of the most detailed and challenging ever offered about the nature of consciousness and creation. Seth said plainly and repeatedly, "You create your own reality." But he went much further than the slogan. He explained exactly how. According to Seth, physical reality is not the origin point of events. It is the destination. Before anything appears in what he called Framework 1, the world you can touch, measure, and see, it already exists complete and whole in Framework 2. Framework 2 is the inner psychic realm, the dimension where consciousness operates beneath the threshold of ordinary waking awareness. And it is there that every event, every object, every encounter is first assembled. Think of it this way. The physical world is like the surface of a river, visible, measurable, always moving. But the current that shapes that surface, that determines where it flows and what it carries, originates deep underneath, invisible to anyone standing on the bank. Framework 2 is that current, and your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional states, those are not passengers on the river. They are the source of the current itself. Seth was specific about what actually charges a blueprint into inevitability. It is not repetition. It is not willpower. It is not affirmations performed mechanically. It is psychic and emotional intensity. He described thoughts charged with genuine, felt emotion as carrying a kind of inner electrical quality, a force that accelerates the passage from the inner realm into physical expression. The blueprint, loaded with real, felt energy, does not wait politely in line. It pushes through. It must. The physics of Framework 2 demand it. Now here's where Seth offers a warning, and it's one of the most practically important things he ever said. Most of us, when we want something, focus obsessively on the how, the steps, the strategy, the path from here to there. We try to engineer the bridge between our current reality and the one we intend. And Seth says this is exactly backwards, not because planning is wrong itself, but because of what your focus on the how actually does energetically. The moment you begin calculating the transition from within your current state of not yet having, you are feeding psychic charge to what already exists. You are powering the blueprint of your present limitation, not your intended destination. This is the trap Seth warns about most directly. When you think, I need to figure out how to get $10,000, the emotional signature underneath that thought is not abundance. It is the felt reality of not having $10,000 right now. Framework 2 does not read your words, it reads your energetic charge. It responds to what you are genuinely, emotionally inhabiting. So if the feeling underneath your focus is lack, struggle, and the gap between here and there, that is the blueprint being charged. That is what moves toward physical expression. The intention and the feeling must match, and they almost never do when we are focused on the mechanics of transition. Seth's answer to this is elegant, and it rests on a crucial distinction about intelligence. He said that your conscious mind is excellent at choosing a direction, at deciding what you want, at setting the destination. but it is physically incapable of calculating the infinite variables required to actually orchestrate a manifestation in the physical world. Framework 2, by contrast, possesses what Seth called inherent knowledge, a multidimensional, effortless intelligence that already understands the path of least resistance from where you are to where you want to be. When you try to figure out the how, you're forcing your limited planning mind to do the heavy lifting that Framework 2 was built to handle. You are, in effect, insisting on doing the work of a dimension you cannot see with a tool that was never designed for that job. So what is your actual job? According to Seth, it is singular. It is to inhabit the feeling of the final state, fully, genuinely, with emotional conviction, and to do so now. Not to plan toward it, not to chase it, not to monitor when it is arriving. To feel it as an already accomplished fact in the inner realm, because in Framework 2, it already is. The Yoga Sutras speak of dharana, concentrated, unwavering focus on a single state or object that, when it becomes total, dissolves the boundary between the one focusing and the thing focused upon. Inner and outer revealed as one continuous fabric. Now, and this is the question the rational mind always raises, does focusing on the final state mean you simply sit still and wait? Seth is clear, no. But the action that follows is a different kind of action than the grinding, anxious effort most people are familiar with. When you genuinely charge the end state blueprint with emotional intensity, something begins to move in Framework 2. And that movement does not stay invisible forever. It begins to overflow into Framework 1 as what Seth calls impulsive action, sudden, spontaneous inspiration, an urge to call someone you haven't thought about in months, a pull toward a particular place, a creative idea that arrives fully formed and asks to be followed. These are not coincidences. They are Framework 2 speaking through the language of impulse. Seth's rule is this: you hold the final state in consciousness, clearly, emotionally, without apology, and then you follow the spontaneous, creative impulses that naturally rise into your daily life as a result. You do not force the action. You do not manufacture the steps. The action that belongs to your blueprint will make itself known. And when it does, it will feel different from anxious striving. It will feel like rightness, like something clicking into place. That is the signal. That is Framework 2 breaching the surface. This reframes the entire experience of manifestation, not as something you do to reality from the outside, pushing and forcing and grinding, but as something that moves from the inside out. Consciousness configuring itself first in the invisible, then breaking through into the visible. Seth described it with a precision that still stops me. By the time you perceive an event physically, the creative work is already done. What you experience as the present moment is actually the arrival of something assembled long before in the inner realm, which means the most powerful creative act available to you is not in the outer world at all. It is in the quality of consciousness you hold right now. The beliefs you carry, the emotional tones running beneath your waking thoughts, the assumptions so familiar you have stopped noticing them, those are your active blueprints. Those are what Framework 2 is reading and responding to right now, without waiting for your permission or your awareness. Most people never examine them. They inherited belief systems about what is possible for them, about what the world allows, about whether they are the kind of person things work out for. And those beliefs are charging blueprints constantly, invisibly, inevitably. Waking up to this is not a small thing. It is the entire game. So this is the practice Seth points toward. Not a technique for a Tuesday morning. A fundamental reorientation in how you relate to reality itself. You are not a passenger in a world that acts upon you. You are the creative center, continuously charging blueprints with the energy of your attention and emotion, whether consciously or not. The only question is whether you do it deliberately. Hold the final state. Feel it as real. Trust Framework 2 to configure the pieces in ways your planning mind could never have arranged. Follow the impulses that arise. And sit, whenever you can, with the question Seth leaves open beneath everything. What am I charging right now? And is that what I actually want to bring through?